Welcome back, guys. Last video we worked on the front splitter for the 04 STi, and to continue on that, today we're going to be building the under tray for the front of the car. Hopefully eventually this whole car will have an under tray, as the stock STIs did have some plastic under tray, and it helps a lot with aerodynamics. Anyways, so the splitter is already done, so what we're going to do is we're going to jack the car up first because I need to get under there so I can mock up the under tray. So what we're going to have to do, as I said, is we're going to lift it up, we're going to put on the bumper just with a couple clips here and there, just get it mocked up and kind of sitting right. Same with the splitter, we're probably just going to use some tape so we can see where it sits, and then we will get under there and start mocking up our under tray. Our under tray will probably go to about here, so leave about a foot past like the tunnel for the air to escape. So essentially what I want is the air is going to go through this, down through the engine bay, and then out the back, and then through the hood scoop and down through the back. That I've actually heard decreases oil temps by a couple of degrees too, because you always got wind flowing by. Of course, an oil cooler would have way more impact than just putting some under tray on, but we will be probably putting an oil cooler on sooner than later, because especially with EJs, it is kind of a good thing to have.
Ryan Little.
And just like that, we now have the car lifted up. I have it on the third pin on the jack stands. Usually I'll only lift them up to one when I'm doing an oil change or something, but since I need to do measurements and stuff under the car, I actually went and raised it up pretty good. Usually it's not this high, and that jack is just sitting there because it's there. I do have jack stands under there. Never trust jacks, especially even like after using them for a while, because that's just when they get older and older. This jack, when it was new, actually, it kind of went down a little bit more than it should have, so I always use jack stands no matter what, and never trust the jacks. So now we're on to putting on the front bumper. This is the first time the front bumper is going on with the lip, and then we're gonna just tape up the splitter. So we'll see how well that goes. There's nothing too particular. I'm not gonna put on all the little pins because really we don't need them when we're mocking them up. I might even just use zip ties right now while we're mocking them up. As I said, this bumper is a complete mess. Check this out. We got it on, but like, look at the fitment here. It's like falling out, and you can try to push it back. It stays, and then it kind of comes back after. And this is with it like all put together. There's a huge gap. You can actually see silver paint. And as much as you push it, it's not going to go back. But this side stayed on pretty well and is staying on, so it should be good. The lines don't really line up, and there's a huge gap. So yeah, this bumper's a mess. Anyway, so now we're going to just tape up the splitter, and I will catch up to you once we have that on, so it should be on. So as usual, something is wrong. So I think what happened here is the lip actually bent the bumper out, so when we were making the template, the bumper was wider than it is, because if we look, it's really wide here. That's not an inch of coverage. And then if we go around, it's got like maybe 2 inches or less than that, probably. I'm thinking it's like yeah, 2 inches. So it lost a complete inch because of the way the bumper is now warped back together. So it's actually doing the opposite of what we want. We want more up front and less on the sides, but we have less up front and more to the sides. So I'm thinking what we're gonna have to end up doing is actually just gonna retrace this right here and kind of reshape it. Also, I was thinking, or Adrian suggested this, is you kind of like roll these up kind of like little winglets, so they're the same piece of plastic, but you just heat them and roll them, and then that heat actually makes like little winglets, like probably from here to here, and then they kind of taper back off, so it'd be like winglet, and then you'd get a winglet, it would come back down, but I don't know if the winglet will fit there. That's the only issue. I'm going to quickly look, because I know the winglet will fit there, but I'm not sure here, so I'll take a look, I'll figure this out, and then we'll probably end up retracing this. Also, the way I'm just holding it up is I've just got a jack stand, a bucket, and another jack stand holding it up, and it works pretty well. And as you can see, it makes it pretty far. So the under tray is only going to go to like near the downpipe and transmission, so we don't have that much to actually go. We've probably got right there, and that's it. So we're probably going to have half the size of the splitter for it. Also, I'm not going to do, I've seen people do like curved ones so they don't interfere with the wheel, but I'm worried about interfering with the suspension, so we'll just go a straight off edge right here and a 90-degree corner right up here. It took a while, but the winglets are finally done. So what I eventually ended up doing was having them kind of like curve up as this thing starts, or the canard, and then they kind of follow the canard style, and then at the end they kind of flatten out or taper out, and then they follow the wheel arch. And then here is the front. So if you look, it is very Time Attack inspired. And it's actually a good thing we have this wider piece here, because you need these exactly 90 degrees so that they actually function. So that means we're gonna have to end up building a bigger splitter, and that's gonna be next. But so we got the winglets done, and there's the other side. As you can see, I am gonna have to fix the template a little bit, make it round out, because this is all gonna be one piece of plastic that will end up folding. But it is still 1 inch between. So when we build the side splitters, there's still going to be 1 inch. So that did take a lot longer than I was expecting, but that's because I kept on making prototypes. I probably went through 3 or 4. There's 1 there, there's like 5 in the garbage. And I've also been talking to Adrian, Taylor, and David on our group chat, just going around back and forth talking about what we should do. Adrian is much inspired by the Time Attack Aero 2, so we have a lot of inspiration, as you can tell from the Time Attack. It's just not as big. Usually Time Attack will have much bigger areas here, bigger wings, and a much bigger splitter. So I'm going to be building the rest of the splitter first. So I'm just going to end up gluing another piece of cardboard on, because once we trace it onto plastic, it doesn't really matter if it's 3 or 4 pieces of cardboard. So once we glue that on, that's going to be the bigger piece. I just got to create it. I think right now we're going to try to do 4 inches now, because I said 3 inches before, but since this is looking pretty darn aggressive, like that's probably a 3.5 inch, we'll try to go 4 inches at the max, and then it should all blend really well together. So there we go. I think I was just going to snap my fingers and get those done. Yeah, that wasn't happening. That took a lot longer. Anyways, we'll be back with the 4-inch lip after. It's just a lot of cutting cardboard, nothing too interesting. There we go, we have the 4-inch lip all done. It looks great. It's actually gonna blend perfectly right here. I just need to, when I retrace this on some good stuff, it will be blended together, but once these are down, it should actually just connect perfectly. But there we go, look at that. So 4 inches does look super aggressive, and it's definitely like the max I would do for a semi-daily car. Because if you go any bigger, that's just going to be crazy on the road, and you won't be able to go over anything. Anyways, look who showed up. Adrian showed up and is helping me with the templating and stuff. He also is not hired for cutting cardboard. He kind of made a big mistake. But anyways, I'm going to be putting on another piece of cardboard anyways when we put it on the template, just so we have everything finalized, because here there's gaps and stuff, so I'll put it on a new piece of cardboard eventually. Now it's actually time to start doing the under tray. I think that's going to be the easiest part today, because the splitter is probably the most complex thing, because you are trying to design it to fit with the aesthetic of the car, and then we messed it up completely. So I will kind of take a look under, and then I'll see how we're going to tackle this, but I'm pretty sure it's just going to take some cardboard and cutting, and that's about it. So we got like the one side of the under tray done, and I'm just going to replicate it on the other side and then tape it, and we should be good to go when we have the whole thing, and we can actually tape it all together and see how much plastic we really need, because right now it's quite a bit. There we go, just like that we have the under tray. It's actually supposed to go that way. And there's a cutout for the exhaust. So Adrian suggested, I was talking to him about it, is some of that gold heat wrap around the splitter area where the headers are, and this same stuff around the downpipe, just so the plastic itself doesn't melt. So we're going to test fit this, and then hopefully if it fits, everything is good to go, and we can combine everything together. I can see nothing. Does this side look good? Yeah. Guess what? The other side looks good too. Does it? It actually does. So there we go. Everything is mocked up. I've just put some stuff holding up the under tray, and there we go. We have everything done. There's the under tray, and as you see, it's like 4 pieces of cardboard, but it works out pretty well actually. Let's take a look from here. So it pretty much follows the subframe all the way across, and then it kind of just connects to the splitter. I didn't bring it all the way back because, well, you can't even mount here, so there's no point of bringing it back. And then the splitter kind of just ends at the bumper and then goes all the way across. And it's the same deal over here and goes down the subframe and connects to the splitter. So I think I have everything lined up and mocked up, and there's lines showing me where everything goes. So I think it's time to take the whole thing off and check out how big this is. And there we go. That was probably the easiest part of the whole day, is getting this out from underneath the car. So as you can see, we have the massive splitter. Like, that is crazy big compared to most commercial or splitters you can buy online. And then the under tray. And as I said, this is going to be all one giant piece of plastic. And what we're going to do for the winglets, I kind of talked about this, but it was hard with the whole car apart, or it on the car. But what we're going to do is we're going to have this all combined, and then we're going to kind of heat this corner up and just bend it up like that. So we have one solid piece of ABS plastic for the whole thing. And then we're going to gold wrap right here and up here, because this is where the headers are. So now that we got everything, it's time to trace it on one giant sheet of cardboard. Cancel that. That didn't work. So it ended up being that the cardboard doesn't actually have enough room for it, and there's a lot of seams going across, and it's not really making sense for me to cut the template again, because we got everything taped up pretty well. What I'm going to do is run some hot glue along here so it just stays a little better, and then I'm going to make these pieces. So that's what the time lapse is going to consist of. So see you guys at the end of this time lapse. And there we go, the whole aero kit is done for the front end. So I ended up just taping up little places where we messed up with the knife. So here, smoothed out lines here, and then just kind of smoothened this out and then made some measurements. So this line wasn't perfect, so eventually what I ended up doing was taking the square and just squaring it off and then filling it in with hot glue. I also hot glued everything together, so it's definitely not going to fall apart anytime soon and will be good for when we're cutting the template. But there we go. That is a massive splitter and under tray setup, which is awesome. I can't wait to install it in the car. It's going to add so much. And then once we finish the aero, it's going to look amazing, but that will be through the winter because the fuse is going to be a huge project. I'll probably end up using rivets and stuff to get all the good angles, and that's just going to take a lot of trial and error. So we will be hopefully cutting this out very, very soon and installing it very soon, because I'm really excited to see how it looks on the car, well, when it's completed. Anyways, that is going to be it for today. So until tomorrow, peace out and stay humble.